Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video what we're going to be doing is reviewing game week 6 of the Premier League, having a chat about the results, and yeah, I've just done a talk through how I thought the game week went, and then yeah, having a look at the table at the end and see who's done what and who sits where in the Premier League. Right then guys, we get started with the Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, and as we can see here, it was a 0-0 draw. But for me, it was a very good game to watch, very entertaining. Both sides created chances, as you'd expect. Liverpool had the majority of the ball and did create more, but Jordan Pickford, I must say, had an absolute brilliant game. Made a load of stunning saves, to be fair. I think there's quite a few chances in this game, like Diaz and things had a lot of shots. Diaz nearly scored a screamer. That does sort of ring a bell. Sort of like all them years ago when Van Basten scored that volley for Holland. It was a similar type of chance to that. And yeah, it was just a stunning save and a stunning performance from Jordan Pickford. Did get a booking for time wasting, but other than that, it was really strong throughout the game. I thought Everton could have nicked it really, and Mopai making his full debut had a few chances. Gordon as well had a few chances. Connor Cody, he did have a goal disallowed. I think it was a really tight one looking back at it, but probably was just about the right decision. There was quite a few contentious ones this weekend for VAR, but I think they did just get that one right. But yeah, really a decent result for Everton. They'd be pleased with that. I think they took a draw going into it. Liverpool, they'd be disappointed not to get the win. A game you'd think nowadays they probably should be winning pretty much 9 times out of 10 really, especially against an Everton side that have been struggling. But yeah, I think they did well to hang on in there. I think after about the 70-minute mark, they sort of stopped creating chances, Everton really, and they sort of did hang on in the end. But yeah, good point for them that, and I think they'll be pleased. Liverpool, they'll be disappointed, and they need to bounce back really if they're going to get that title charge back up and running. Next up, we had Brentford, who took on Leeds in one of the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and as you can see here, Ivan Toney, man of the match performance, and he scored a hat-trick in this game. Yeah, really good result for Brentford. I think it was a bit of a tight one, as we can see here. They took a 2-0 lead. Leeds sort of dug the way back in. But yeah, Brentford was just too much for them in the end. We can see here that a bit of a tight game, really. Leeds, they had a lot of ball, but didn't really do a great deal with it. They didn't mean, look at that, 200 passes and they scored 5 goals. That's, 50 passes a goal? Something like that, which is, that's less. It's like 20 passes a goal. That's ridiculous. But yeah, they'll be delighted with that Brentford. They sort of need to win these kind of games if they're going to get that top half of the table finish again. And it just shows you they don't need a great deal of possession and passes to win a game of football. And Brentford have shown that there, like 20 passes a goal really. And yeah, Leeds, they did get a sending off in this one, and it was Jesse Marsh. Sorry, just trying to think who got sent off. It was Jesse Marsh, the manager. He obviously wasn't happy with some of the decisions, and he got himself sent off in this game. But yeah, Brentford really showing up in this, as you can see, getting themselves 5 goals. Bit concerning if you Leeds at the back. Could they sort of slip back into that, what they did last year, where they shipped loads and loads of goals? Will they sort of slip back into that? It remains to be seen. But yeah, Brentford, good result for them, and yeah, they'll look to build on that and keep pulling these results together and just climb the way up the table. Next up, Stamford Bridge, and it was a 2-1 win for Chelsea, but this one wasn't without controversy. There was a contentious offside. I think it might have been a foul actually. I can't really remember the decision, but I just remember seeing it and thinking, oh, that's not good. Yeah, you can see there, Maxwell Cornet had the goal overturned, but yeah, it was a pretty bit of a poor one. I think they've come out and admitted it was a wrong decision in the end, VAR, but it costs teams a lot, and it would have been a good point for West Ham, but as you can see there, they've sort of robbed of a decision really. And yeah, a bit of a shame, but Chelsea, as you can see, they had the majority of the ball, as you'd expect. But West Ham, they'd be gutted not to get something, robbed from a VAR decision, which is a real shame, really. And that's not the only VAR decision that was a bit of a controversial one this week. You'll see in a couple of games, we'll have a chat about more that happened within the VAR system and the flaws it does have. But yeah, good win for Chelsea. Despite all that, again, not created a great deal with the amount of ball they've had. I think they are missing that sort of out-and-out striker. Chilwell got man of the match in this one. I think he came on late as well in this game, Chilwell. Yeah, he did. The 70-minute mark. Got himself a goal. I'm sure he got the assist as well. He did. He got the assist and the goal. So, brilliant performance that from left back. Wesley Fofana made his debut in this one, but yeah, they didn't quite keep a clean sheet. It was a good goal for Antonio. We're looking to build on that though, Chelsea. Doesn't matter really how you win these days, as long as you scrape out that win. And yeah, a good win, but for me, shouldn't have got the win really, because I thought that VAR decision was a bit of a joke. Speaking of dodgy VAR decisions, another one came in this game. St James's Park, Newcastle took on Crystal Palace, and it was 0-0. We can see here Newcastle had more chances, but really good game by the looks of it, this one. The only thing I did see in this game was the dodgy VAR decision. I think it was Willock. He had a little push in the back. He went into the keeper. Keeper hits the deck as they're going to. And then it came off, I think it was Mitchell, and bounced into the net. Looking back on it though, Willock was pushed in the back by a... Sorry about that. Willock was pushed in the back by a Crystal Palace player, so for me, if you've been pushed in the back by an opposition player, surely that's a penalty. If not a penalty, then you play on, because it's hit Mitchell and gone into the back of the net. So it's no fault of Willock's that the keeper's gone down. He's been pushed in the back, and like I say, the keeper's gone down. He's stayed down as you'd expect. Keepers do sort of get away with these decisions really, and the ball's bounced off Mitchell and gone into the goal. So for me, if you're not going to give the goal, you're going to give a penalty surely for Newcastle, and neither came. The goal was ruled out for a foul on the goalkeeper, which I sort of was scratching my head with that one. So yeah, I think Palace will feel a bit relieved to get a point, really, just because of that decision. And I feel Newcastle will be a bit robbed, after that. Bit of a poor one from the referee and VAR. Everyone's got a different opinion on VAR. I'm all for it if it works, but if you're going to keep getting decisions like this and, controversy and a load of mither, then what's the point of it? Just let the referee do the job and the linesman. Especially if it's just going to cause a load of issues like this and a load of even more like sort of grief for the referees. If they're not going to give it in the first place, they're going to get grief. But if then they're going to have a look at a screen, and then a guy in a VAR thing's going to have a look at a screen, and they can't still get it right, they're just going to get more grief. So for me, it's causing a lot more issues than it's worth at the moment, VAR, which sort of needs looking at and needs addressing if it's going to carry on for me. Next up, Forest took on Bournemouth at the City Ground, and a game that I was expecting Forest to win this one. They raced into a 2-goal lead at half time. As we see here, a lovely header it was from Kouyaté. Brennan Johnson got a penalty and they scored that. They raced it to a 2-goal lead, but Bournemouth, for me, they had a bit of a grilling at half time from Gary O'Neill, who's the caretaker manager at the moment. And I think, although they had a grilling, I think they've just said, go for it, lads. They got nothing to lose, and that's exactly what they did. They made some changes. They brought Fredericks on, and apparently he had a brilliant game from what I've seen. But yeah, really good, brilliant comeback. Billing scored an absolute beautiful goal I watched that match today, seen that as a beautiful finish. And yeah, they got themselves back into it. Solanke equalised on the 63rd minute, and to be fair, they only looked one team in it after that. And yeah, it was Bournemouth who turned it round. It's a massive result that for them, for their season. Obviously losing a manager can cause a lot of unrest, but they've sort of not let that bother them too much and sort of bounced back from it really. And it's good to see. I think a lot of people sort of had Bournemouth down, especially when Parker got the sack. But yeah, for them to get that result, it's massive for them. And I hope they do sort of turn it around really, because they're a good team, good little club. They're not massive, they know that, but it'd be nice to see them stay in the league, and brilliant result for Bournemouth that. Next up at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Spurs took on Fulham, and a tight win for Spurs in the end, but they keep doing this, they keep winning ugly, and it's a sign of a good top 4 side to win games ugly, and they've done it again here. Højbjerg scored after the 40th minute, Richarlison with an assist. I seen that Richarlison, he had a disallowed goal, I think it was the yeah, it was late on in the 90th minute. He scored a goal, but it was ruled out from VAR, and he got booked because he took his top off in the celebration. I think that was a weird one. Surely, if you're not going to give a goal for VAR, there's no point still booking him. I know he's took his shirt off, but surely it's like void. if the goal doesn't count, then he wouldn't have celebrated like that. If you'd have ruled it out straight away, he wouldn't have took his top off. So yeah, a bit of a weird one that he got booked for that. But Harry Kane gave them a 2-0 lead in the 75th minute. Good goal from Kane. He'll be looking to get a bit of a run together now and get a few goals. Mitrovic got himself a goal in the 83rd. This guy just can't stop scoring really. But yeah, unfortunately they didn't do enough to get them a point in the end, Fulham. But yeah, Spurs will be pleased with that. They're having to grind out wins. They're not playing brilliantly, but they're grinding out wins. And if you want to get in that top four, you've got to grind out wins these days. Especially when teams like Fulham are coming to town and playing really well. So yeah, good win for Tottenham. Fulham would be a little bit disappointed they didn't get anything from the game, but good win for Spurs. Next up at Molineux, Wolves took on Southampton, and despite the lack of a striker, they did win this one, Wolves. A friend of mine, he's a Wolves fan, and he was telling me that the guy up front they've played in this one, it was Sasa Kalajic. I don't know, I butchered that, but yeah, Sasa Kalajic. He was there, he was the focal man, and everything was going for him really. And he sort of, I think, what this reminds me of when Haaland, when City played against Bournemouth, Haaland was sort of that focal man, and while he didn't get much of the ball, sort of the centre half sort of gravitate towards him, and it sort of frees up the wingers' space, and centre midfielders get a lot more space to make the passes. And that was what happened here. Nunez played a lovely ball through at Podence, and he was there to finish. But that sort of freedom that the striker allows, especially a big striker, when they think, oh, I better get a mark in this guy who's going to get in the back stick and score. So yeah, when you've sort of got that freedom, you can sort of unleash players like Podence and Nunez. And that's what the big man up top did. But unfortunately, at half-time, they brought him off, Kalajic. He was complaining of a knee injury, and yeah, they brought him off. And fortunately, it's an ACL injury, and that's usually like a 6 or 7 month or so. They've got really no luck with it at the moment, Wolves, with strikers. Raul Jimenez wasn't available for this one either, so it's a real shame that they're really struggling with issues with front men at the moment, Wolves. And I see they've been linked with Diego Costa, and what a return that would be to get him back in the Premier League. The guy, he had a lot of enemies during his time in the Premier League, but yeah, it'd be great to see him back in the league. He causes a lot of havoc in defences, really. He's a bit of a sort of like your ratty type striker. He'll get into your ribs and he'll do centre half heads in, but he gets goals, and that's what Wolves need. They need a front man who can get them goals. They did manage to win this one. As you can see here, Southampton, they only had the one shot on target. You're not really going to get a point anywhere if you've only had one shot on target during a game. But yeah, Wolves will be pleased to get a result. They were struggling until this game. They'll be over the moon to get a win. And yeah, hopefully they'll get Costa in and build on that. But yeah, they need a bit of luck with a striker. Jimenez, if he gets fit and firing, hopefully that'll turn it round for them. But yeah, I think they need a bit of luck, Wolves, and they've got a bit of luck there with a win against Southampton. Next up, Villa took on Manchester City at Villa Park, and City struggled to sort of get into this game really. The stats there show that they created four on target, but City do what they do. They have a lot of the ball, but for me, they couldn't really get a grip of this game and sort of create them clear-cut chances. I think they had 1 or 2 through Haaland, and I think Foden had a good chance as well. But yeah, they didn't look brilliant in this game, City, really. They did set the lead with a lovely cross from De Bruyne through to Haaland, tapped in at the back stick. That was a brilliant goal, but they sort of never looked out of it, Villa. They never looked phenomenal, as you can see. They only created 3 shots, but they sort of never looked out of it. They defended really well. They kept Haaland and Silva and Foden really sort of relatively quiet. But yeah, they did get an equaliser in the end. Jacob Ramsey, I thought he had a brilliant game in this one, to be fair. Coming up against a difficult midfield against City, like so Rodri and things like that. I thought Ramsey played really well. He put Bailey through, and yeah, it was a lovely little finish. Keeper could have probably done better. It was sort of straight at him, but I think the pace he hit it, he didn't really have much of a chance. Maybe he could have saved it. A bit of a debatable one, but yeah, Villa, they'll be over the moon. They wouldn't have expected a point going into that, and Gerrard was under a lot of pressure, and I think that sort of relieves a bit of pressure from him for a bit. And yeah, good result for Villa. City will be disappointed, obviously, not to get the 3 points. As we can see down here, they would have gone top if they won. But yeah, bit of a poor one for City. They will look at a bounce back. They got Spurs next week. It's usually a tough game, so if they're going to bounce back, it's a tough one to do it in. But yeah, good result for Villa. A bit of a poor one for City. Next up, 2 o'clock game on this Sunday at the Amex Stadium. Brighton took on Leicester. As we see here, they raced out 5-2 winners, Brighton. From the opening minute, I think it was literally straight from kick-off, Leicester took the lead. And before, they dropped Jamie Vardy ahead of this one and played the 2 up top in Dakar and Acho. And it looked like a bit of a masterstroke, to be fair, from Rodgers. They raced into a lead. Dakar set up Iheanacho. And he thought, wow, is this really what they needed to do? But yeah, Brighton from there on in, it sort of seemed to anger them a bit. They got a goal pretty quickly after, just the 9 minutes. Luke Thomas' own goal. It sort of solid march at the back, with a header. And yeah, it sort of bounced in off the defender and went in. The next goal, 15th minute, I seen that one. It was James Maddison. It was a bit of poor play from him. He gave the ball away. And then, I can't remember who it was who laid it off, but they laid it on a plate for Caicedo, and it was a lovely little finish. And yeah, they looked pretty strong from there on in. Daka got Leicester back into it in the 33rd minute. Tielemans with the assist. But then, again, in that second half, they sort of just seemed to run out of juice a bit, Leicester. They're having to bring on players who are not really performing. Dewsbury Hall, I mentioned him last week, he's still quite young, and sort of relying on him to sort of change games, really, and it's just not happening, really. And yeah, Brighton sort of ran away with it. Alexis McAllister, he did have one amazing goal ruled out in this game, which was an absolute thunderbolt, but still got himself 2 goals in the end. And Trossard, who's been playing really well as of late, yeah, they got Brighton the win. Another strong win for them. They've started the season off really well. I think they've just lost the 1 so far out of 6, so that's a really good start for Brighton. And yeah, a really good win for them. And I think after the game, I feel a bit sorry for Rodgers. He seems to think the world's against him at the moment. He's not brought anyone in. No one has a note, really, that's going to really strongly improve them. If you look at the bench, there's no one on there that sort of leaps out to you that's going to change the fortunes around. And I think Rodgers, he knows they're struggling. I think there's been a lot of financial issues at Leicester. But yeah, he sort of seems a bit down, and it wouldn't surprise me if Rodgers was the next one to get the sack in the Prem or resign, maybe one of the two. You don't often see managers resign because they want to wait for the payout, but I think something's going to happen there quite soon, to be fair, and I think Rodgers could be on his way out of Leicester. Final game of the game week then, we had Man United taking on Arsenal at Old Trafford, and if you watched my preview, I did say United would win this game, and they did. I thought it was going to be 1-0, but as you can see here, they sort of ran away with it in the second half, which I didn't see coming, to be fair. Anthony opened the scoring. It was a lovely little finish, a beautiful move from United. Rashford laid it on for Anthony, and it was a lovely composed finish into the bottom corner. A debut goal for Anthony. He looks strong. He looks like exactly what they need, United. They've been sort of playing Alanga on that wing, and he's still a bit raw for me. He'll have games here and there where he'll struggle. He didn't come on in this one, but he'll learn. He'll get there in the end, Alanga. But yeah, Anthony looked like he was ready-made for United, really. It's what they need. You have strong wingers in the past years, and he looks like one of them. And I think he'll get better and better, Anthony. Saka got them back into the game, and, decent little goal. I think it was sort of fortuitous that Delo sort of teed him up for it. But yeah, Saka got them back in, but United sort of seemed to wake them up, really, at the back. And Rashford got himself 2 lovely goals. Eriksen and Bruno played pretty well in this game. They sort of found them on them diagonal. When Ronaldo came on for United in the 58th minute, he was sort of the focal point then, and Rashford was playing him on the left. I think he's a lot better on the left, Rashford, rather than playing as that front man. and he's sort of making them diagonal runs. It's much easier to find him when he does them diagonals rather than just a ball through the middle, especially against like a deep defence, which is what Saliba and Gabriel were providing. They was expecting it over the top, and they defended that quite well. As soon as they start making them diagonal runs, that's when you got Ben White at fullback. He's not a natural fullback. He'll struggle to track that. Zinchenko's usually halfway up the pitch attacking, so he'll struggle to sort of track that as well. And yeah, Rashford got himself 2 lovely goals, just making them lovely diagonal runs. And yeah, brilliant win for United. That's 4 in a row now after the poor start they had. And Ten Hag will be over the moon. Arteta, that's his first loss of the season. I don't think that's going to derail them by any means. I think they'll bounce back, Arsenal. But yeah, it's a struggle. When United are playing well, they will play well. And they'll be hard to stop, really. But yeah, they sort of got to keep this run going, United. That top 4's there. It's up for grabs, Chelsea are struggling at the moment. Teams like that. So that top 4, there is a spot there for me that's up for grabs between the likes of like Spurs, Arsenal and United. They'll be all battling for that spot, 3rd and 4th. So yeah, who knows, maybe both of these sides will be there come the end of the year, but United are not doing themselves any damage really, and 4 wins on a bounce now, and it's looking good for United at the minute. Right then guys, here's our Premier League table after game week 6. So as you can see, Arsenal still do sit top of the table, but at just a 1 point now. City could have went top if they did beat Villa, but they didn't quite do that. So just sit a point behind them. Spurs also in there on 3rd on 14 points. Brighton, they sit in 4th, which is brilliant for them after 6 games, 13 points. And you've got United, Chelsea, Liverpool, 5, 6 and 7. Liverpool with that draw at Goodison Park, they still sort of sat outside that 4th spot. Brentford, Leeds, Fulham, Newcastle, Southampton, Bournemouth, everyone's sort of got them down, but they're sat pretty in 13th at the moment. They won't mind that if they finish there the season in 13th at all. Wolves got themselves out of that bottom 3 with a win against Southampton. Crystal Palace, Everton, Villa, I think Villa got themselves out of the bottom 3 as well with a point. Your bottom 3 then, it's West Ham, Nottingham Forest and Leicester. West Ham will feel like they shouldn't be there. They feel like they should have got something from that Chelsea game. Forest, struggling a bit after a win on the opening day against West Ham. They've lost 3 on the bounce now. Could that sort of derail them going into the rest of the season? And Leicester, well, they've got it all to do, haven't they? No wins after 6, just a 1 draw there on the opening day and 5 straight defeats. For me, Rodgers might bite the bullet quite soon. Right then guys, that's all for today's video. Let me know guys how your team got on in game week 6 of the Premier League. Any shock performances for you in there? For me, United winning 3-1. I did think they'd win, but I thought it'd have been a bit tighter. Maybe the Wolves win. Did that shock anyone? They finally scored a goal. But yeah guys, let me know what you thought down in the comments. If you have enjoyed the video, please drop a like on it, it'd mean a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here guys, it would mean a great deal. And as always guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.